Can we just take a moment to appreciate my fall candles, my orange pumpkin harvest autumn equinox candles? If you're watching this later, you're not watching this during fall, just ignore me. Ignore me completely. Hola my beautiful lotus flowers, welcome back or welcome to my channel. If you're into nerding out on everything astrology, spirituality, and self-transformation, this is the community for you. Today we're talking all about having Mars in Virgo. This is not the same as having sun sign in Virgo. That's completely different. What this means is at the time that you were born, the planet Mars was moving through the constellation of Virgo. We're going to start the video with an introduction to Mars in astrology and what that energy entails. In case you're not familiar, be sure you watch that. Then we're going to move on to some general traits of somebody who has this placement, and I like to finish off my videos with a couple empowering tips because I don't just like to leave you with the information. I like to try and give you a couple useful tools if you have this placement. First, let's briefly discuss what Mars means in astrology. First off, Mars is the planet of our quote-unquote animalistic instincts, action, ambition, desire, and passion. It rules over the zodiac sign Aries, but it's also the co-ruler and traditional ruler of Scorpio before Pluto came into the picture. The Mars placement in our birth chart can give us insight on how we physically take action in the world, what ignites our inner fire, and how we tame or transmute that fire into reality. Whereas Venus is about what we are attracted to in the physical realm, Mars is more so how we actually act on, pursue, and express those desires. It is the primary conductor of our innermost passions, and it gives us a direct pathway on how we assert ourselves in the world. Remember to check if Mars was retrograde at the time that you were born, because this also affects how its placement manifests in your life. When you pull up your natal chart, check to see if your Mars has a little R or RX next to it. This indicates that that planet was retrograde at the time of your birth. Now, let's talk about the general traits of somebody who has Mars in Virgo. First, it's important to remember that Virgo is the mutable earth sign, ruled by Mercury, symbolized by the Virgin. Number 1. With this placement, there may be a heavy focus on strategy and their physical energetic output. Again, Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Gemini is also ruled by Mercury, so there can be similarities between these placements. But with a Gemini Mars placement, there is more focus on the mental activity and the mental output because Gemini is an air sign. With Virgo, there's more of a focus on physical activity and physical output due to being an earth sign. So channeling this Mercury energy into something outwardly productive is important for this individual. Because of this is probably the type of person who really enjoys having multiple projects that they're juggling at once, and or they see themselves as an ongoing project, meaning that self-improvement routines can be highly important to them. This is often the type of person who can't help but push themselves to reach new heights and new levels in life, especially when it comes to their physical health, and they can also be very focused on self-improvement in general. It wouldn't be unlikely to find somebody with Virgo Mars that can be a little bit obsessive over their physical health. Maybe this can channel into being a hypochondriac at times, but it doesn't have to be that extreme. That's just an example. But a lot of times this is definitely an admirable trait. You might find yourself meeting someone with this placement and wondering,
geez, when does this person ever stop?
The answer is probably never. Now, physical health is one side of this placement, but with Mercury's influence, we often see that this person is also quite strategic in everything that they do. Calculating every meal, every project, their daily schedule as a whole. This is definitely one way that they thrive. Someone with this placement who falls off of their daily routines or schedule may find that they quickly start to feel discouraged or overwhelmed. Not that they're unable to pivot and adapt, but it isn't their ideal way of functioning most of the time, especially because Mercury and Virgo energy combined with the physical planet Mars brings an emphasis to nervous system regulation. Maintaining order, strategy, and routine helps them to keep their nervous system from spiraling. Number 2, Virgo Mars often yearns to build something worthwhile to them. One of the reasons someone with this placement can remain so focused and disciplined on their projects is due to the influence of the earth element. Earth signs are known for their grounded energy and their ability to stick to something until the end, often giving them a notable stubborn streak. And although Virgo is usually more willing to pivot when necessary than the other earth signs may be, they still value seeing something through for the long haul, and they have the discipline as well as the independence to make it happen. One of the ways in which this earthy, headstrong quality can come through in a Virgo Mars is through their extreme determination to see something through until the end once they have decided on it. And a lot of times there may be multiple things that they're working on that they want to see through, that they want to build to become something notable. The thing about this placement, and a lot of the earth signs are kind of like this, but they kind of take pride in their independence and their willingness to go it alone. They are definitely okay with building things by themselves and working by themselves if necessary. Sometimes they may even prefer it, especially because this placement often wants things done in a very particular way, and they don't have to worry about anyone messing it up, or they don't have to worry about taking someone else's perspective into consideration, and they also don't have to worry about relying on somebody else to uphold their side of the responsibilities. It's this sense of unwavering resolve that this placement can have that can also inspire others as a byproduct of everything. It's likely that you find somebody with this placement to become a leader or mentor or director for others in some way because of this. This also goes hand in hand with Virgo's nature of wanting to serve and help other people. A lot of times this is something that Virgo tends to be passionate about. I'm not saying every Virgo, but a lot of times they in some way want to commit themselves to service of others. So whatever it is that they're working really hard to build, potentially by themselves, is actually something they're building with the intent to help or serve others in some way. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell, and leave a comment down below if you have Virgo Mars or you know somebody who does. I like to know why you're watching, so let's talk about it. Number 3. Those with this placement are capable of overcoming just about anything due to their adaptability and inner grit. Virgo is one of the mutable signs. Mutable signs are known for their natural flexibility, which may also channel itself as chaos or disorganization at times. Although it is quite common for those with strong Virgo placements to have some form of ongoing anxiety or nervous tension, it often isn't directly shown. Geminis are also a mutable sign, and again, they are also ruled by Mercury. But with Gemini being an air sign, they can sometimes lack something to ground them, so they might be a bit more expressive with their anxiety. Virgo being a mutable earth sign means that if they do feel anxious, many times it's more hidden or difficult for others to detect. But again, we're talking about Virgo's mutable energy being channeled through the physical planet of Mars. So a lot of times this placement thrives in situations where they're actually required to juggle multiple things, do multiple projects, take on multiple pieces of work, etc. If done in a healthy way, it can actually be a good output for some of this anxious, jittery energy that they may find they have. Being kind of a busybody can help be a good output for that energy. Again, if it's done in a healthy way, overworking yourself is never healthy. But in fact, this placement might find that they feel more anxious when they're doing less. Number 4. Virgo Mars individuals are quite capable of acquiring abundance or prosperity naturally in some way. Virgo is symbolized by the Virgin or the Maiden, representing Virgo's nurturing nature of service to others as well as abundance. You'll find oftentimes that many of those with strong Virgo energy love being of service to others, whether they're the friend or partner that always drives, the one that helps everyone with certain tasks that no one else wants to do, the one that always shows up, the one that's the first to offer advice, the one that always takes a parental role around others. You get the point. Well, that whole mantra about how to obtain success, you should be thinking about how you can serve others, is basically a Virgo's life mantra. This trait, combined with the previous traits that we talked about, makes them someone who is keen to the natural acquisition of abundance or material success in some way. Of course, for all the Virgo placements watching this, success is going to look vastly different for all of you. You're not all going to think of it the exact same way. But keeping all the traits in mind that we talked about, you do have a lot of the keys, the natural keys to making yourself an influence over others in some way, whether that's helping them, leading them, like I said earlier, being a mentor to them. It can take many different avenues, but the theme here is the same. Now let's talk about a couple empowering tips for somebody who has Virgo Mars, or if you know somebody who does. Number 1, this placement may struggle with perfectionism. Whereas they are almost tormented by the need for something to be absolutely perfect and exactly how they envisioned it or planned to be, sometimes this may actually prevent the individual from beginning something in the first place, or they may remain stuck on something for far too long because of this. This placement tends to have a very over-analytical nature. It's one of the things that feeds into their strategic way of moving in the world. So a lot of times that analytical energy that they have is taking place all the time. It's just natural for them. It's one of the ways that they observe the world, the way that they physically move about in the world, the way that they look at situations. But this can lead to them always looking to perfect everything. And the need to overanalyze dominoes into the need for perfection, which dominoes into them being dissatisfied a lot of the times with everything. Even if something is perfectly fine, they may always be thinking about how something can be better, so they feel dissatisfied and unhappy. And then this dominoes into frustration, which can then domino into temper issues. This can be a little bit of a temperamental placement because they do have the stubbornness of the earth element. They do have the volatility of being a mutable sign. And that mutability, again, can cause a little bit of an anxiousness or a tension within them, combined with being over-analytical, a perfectionist, etc. You get it. So releasing that inherent need for perfection could prove so beneficial for this sign. And obviously, this is not a trait that's all bad. I talked a bit about the strengths of this placement earlier in the video. But again, this is just a tip so you can further empower yourself and become more self-aware of where you can improve your life. And one way is releasing that need for perfection. This is something that everyone watching this will have to work through on their own. This is the type of thing that I can't give you all the best methods to deal with it, especially because it's your own personal journey and your need for perfectionism and your own inner frustrations with life come from various different walks of life that you've all gone through. But one suggestion I can make is to possibly pick up journaling of some kind, because this is a great physical output for your worries and your frustrations. And we're also talking about a Mars sign that is influenced by Mercury. Mercury is the planet of mental processes and communication, so things like writing can be very healthy for somebody who has Mercury energy present. What journaling can do is oftentimes it really puts things into perspective. It sounds so simple and maybe even silly to some of you watching this, because Virgo can definitely be one of the signs that rolls their eyes at a lot of things. But if we just roll our eyes at everything, we're never gonna grow. Just saying. But like I was saying, journaling can really help put things into perspective and make us realize that things maybe weren't as big of a deal as we thought, that maybe something is actually better than we thought. Or rather than letting everything just stay jumbled inside your brain, just letting everything become knotted inside your brain is never healthy. And that is what then leads to your nervous system being even more aggravated. Number 2, Though they may thrive in a busybody lifestyle, it is still important that they take time to understimulate themselves. Remaining in a constant state of stimulation is never healthy, and this placement is still very much prone to easy overstimulation, especially because they are often thinking of everything strategically, mentally mapping things out, analyzing everything, even when it isn't necessary. So, allocating times where they're able to enjoy an activity where they can simply practice being present may prove to be very therapeutic. Again, don't roll your eyes at my suggestion. And if you want to try something else, that's completely fine. This is just my suggestion for you if you don't know where to begin. One of my suggestions for this placement would be yoga, as it keeps this placement in motion, in physical motion, but you're still required to practice being present in the body with slow movement. Yoga is also a great way to release a lot of tension that's being harbored within the nervous system, something, again, that this placement is quite prone to. Or you could try some sort of creative activity or intellectual hobby that uses the mind and the hands, because again, we're talking about Mercury energy here, as well as an earth sign. So something that is like an intellectual hobby is maybe putting together a puzzle or doing a paint by numbers. Something like that might be enjoyable for this placement. Editing Marisa here, and I realized that I should have mentioned gardening or taking care of plants or something along those lines as a good creative hobby or relaxing hobby or activity for this placement, because again, gardening especially can keep them active. They are also an earth sign, so they're connected to a lot of the earth elements such as plants. A lot of Virgos are known for having a green thumb, but a lot of the earth signs in general are known for having a gift or having an inclination to work with plants in some way. So that could be a great hobby to pick up as well on top of the other ones that I mentioned. So yeah, back to, I don't know what to call myself, back to myself. And it allows them to still actively use their mind and use their body a bit, but it allows them to also let go and they can be present. They can just be present there with the puzzle. Maybe you can like listen to a podcast or you can watch a show while you do the puzzle. Something that keeps your brain stimulated, but in a relaxing, healthy way for once, not a stressful way. If you enjoyed the video, again, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. You have no idea how much that helps. And it also lets me know that you like videos like this and I should keep making them, you know. And don't forget to leave a comment down below if you have Virgo Mars or know somebody who does. Let's chat about the placement. I'm always learning, so I love to know your own experience with the placement if you have any. But until I see you all next time, thank you so much again for being here. I appreciate your presence much more than I could ever express. Until I see you next time, take a look at these videos if you haven't already. They'll help you so much more on your journey. But again, until next time, adios.